Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers, and today we have our Top 10 Tuesday. Before we get into that too far, we are doing a giveaway. So if you haven't seen the video yet, it was the last video that I posted. It says giveaway on it. I'm actually giving away 2 copies of Carcassonne, Mists over Carcassonne, which is the cooperative version of Carcassonne. I've got 2 copies of that going out. I'm going to give away 1 to my members, and I'm going to give away 1 to my subscribers. So if you're a subscriber, you can enter that contest by going back to that video and telling me what your favorite board game is with a whole bunch of exclamation marks. It's got to have at least 5. And then I'll enter you guys into the contest. Now, if you want to increase your odds of winning, become a member. Memberships are anywhere from $3, $5, and $10 a month. And at the end of the year, if you pay $3 a month, you are paying me maybe $36 a year, and Mists over Carcassonne is like a $40 game. So if that's the only game you win, then it's worth the money, you know what I mean? And I'm going to try to be doing giveaways a lot more often. So if you want to try to get a chance to win, go ahead and just go to that last video and make that comment. If you want an increased chance of winning, go ahead and check out my memberships and become a member. And then afterwards, after the contest is over, you can feel free to just pull your membership. That's up to you. But I would love to have more members. That way we can continue to do more giveaways. I kind of like what Mr. Beast does. He makes all this money off of his channel, and he just basically throws all of it back into the channel. And I kind of want to do the same thing. Like I said, I have a job. Me and my wife have great jobs. We love our jobs. We're not quitting anytime soon. So really, I would like to take all the money that you guys pour into this channel and just give it right back to you guys and giveaways and different things like that. So that's kind of the idea where I'm building towards. This is a channel by gamers for gamers, and so I want to just give back to the community and good games too, because I want to try to keep it fresh and new. But anyways, let's get into our top 10 for today. Oh wait, there was something. Oh yeah. This contest is only going to be running, this is August of 2023, it's only going to be running for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to continue to gain more people onto this thing. So I'm going to give it 2 more weeks, and then I'm going to draw a winner, and winners will be announced most likely towards the end of August, beginning of September. And if you win, I will email you. I am not going to charge you shipping, so if anybody tries to tell you, hey, you won the giveaway, just give us $15, it's a scam. I will email you personally and reach out to you. If you don't reach out to me back, then I will just keep the game and give it for another giveaway at another time, or just rerun the giveaway, or however, whatever works. But this is only for the United States. Sorry if you are outside of the country, I won't be able to ship it just because shipping can be very, very expensive, and I am broke right now. But later on, I'll be able to give away internationally. I hope so. Anyways, way too much time in this opening, so let's get into it. So today's top 10 is going to be my top 10 area control / majority games. All right, so area control, area majority are basically games where you fight over control of a territory, or having the most troops in a territory, or owning the most territory, any kind of games like that. And the cool part about this is that I don't want to just have the same, it's just dudes on a map all the time, but I want to try different things. So like, I have a lot of games on this list that are very unique in the way that they handle the area control, area majority mechanic. But without further ado, let's get into that. Now, I've done a lot of videos, and I've done a lot of games, and a lot of my favorite games appear on multiple lists, so I'm trying to exclude those. So my number 1 is a game that you guys have seen before, so I do want to do an honorable mention for a game that I think is great. Actually, 2 games that I think are really good, and I think you should try them out. And that way, this will just kind of bump the 1 out of there, because you guys already know what the 1 is. These didn't quite make the top 10, but these games are fantastic. I'll tell you that right off the bat. They were my 11 and 12. And Great Plains is just one player is the foxes, one player is the snakes, and then the map is made out of these little hexagon tiles that you can flip over upside down and switch around however you want. The map is ever changing, and really it's just area control, and each fox and each snake moves a very specific way depending on where you move them, and they have these little tokens that you can collect that let you do different movements where you can kind of just dive bomb your opponent. This is really, really fun. If you can push your opponent off the map, you can eliminate those pieces, and it's just a really, really cool area majority game that I really, really enjoy, and I think you guys would love it. Caesar Sees Rome in 20 Minutes is also a very, very good game. In that game, you just have this gigantic map, not gigantic, it's a tiny map. It's actually a very small game, and in this game, you are just seizing control of different areas of Rome, and the way that you do that is by putting these little double-sided chips, and the chips are split in half, and it has 2 numbers on either side, and so you can kind of pick which side the number goes on, and it's just such a cool mechanic, and honestly, it literally plays in 20 minutes or less. As a matter of fact, that whole Caesar Sees Rome in 20 minutes, like, you could teach the game and play the game in under 20 minutes. I've done it multiple times and taught it and played it in like 15 minutes. It's such a fast game, and it's really, really good. But those are 2 great area control games that you should definitely try out. But let's get into the 10. So my number 10 is a game called Inish. And Inish is just such a cool game, man. Finally got a chance to play it and get it to the table, and it did not disappoint. One of the things that I think is really cool about Inish, it is an area control game where you have like little dudes on a map, and you're just trying to move them over to different areas. Each single figure counts as a clan, and so you're trying to have a bunch of clans out on the board and take over certain areas. Whoever has the majority becomes the chieftain. The chieftain kind of dictates what's happening throughout the game. It's kind of interesting. But the one cool mechanic that I love about it is that every round you play with the same like 17 cards. And so there's 17 cards. Everybody can get, I think, a hand of like 4. And then there's 1 card that gets placed out of the game, which can actually be accessed using another card where you can kind of take that and switch it in. But it's really cool because I'm like, man, the amount of like strategy that goes into this game is definitely better when everybody has played it and you've played it multiple times. The first time playing it is going to be a cool experience. You'll probably be like, it's okay. But one of the great things about it is that the more you play it, the more you memorize those green cards, and the more you go, okay, so that card was already played and that card was already played, so now I can play this card and I should be safe, because there are cards that cancel effects and different things like that. But again, memorizing those 17 cards just makes the game so much more strategic, and I really had a great time playing this. A little bit long, but very, very, very good game, very unique, and it's got this really cool checkmate mechanic where it's like, when you do whatever it is you need to do to put yourself in the winning place, and you're like, okay, cool, I met the win condition, you don't win. You just basically go check, right? And then everybody else just comes after you and tries to stop you from winning. And so it has to come back around to you, and you still have to be meeting that same win condition or some other win condition, and then you can win the game that way. So really cool game. I really like Inish. But let's go on to my number 9, which is a game called Ankh. And there's a trilogy of these games. Ankh happens to be, I haven't played, what's the other one called? Rising Sun. That was it. So it's Ankh, Rising Sun, and Blood Rage. Ankh is really, really good, man. Ankh is my favorite 2-player game. Like, it's a nice dueling game, and the reason I like it at 2 players is because it's got this merge mechanic. Basically, everybody takes a god statue. It's like this big, tall god figure, and you got a bunch of like warriors, and again, it's just area control. You're just trying to control the biggest area. And you want to control multiple areas, so that way when the time comes for you to check for victory points, you go area by area, one at a time. And if you're uncontested in an area, you basically just win all the devotion points there, and so then your victory points go up there. But if for some reason there's somebody in the area with you, you guys have to go into a combat mode, and then you guys get to fight each other, and every god is asymmetric, has its own way. But then there's also the actions you take are not asymmetric. They're the same 4 actions. And there's a really cool mechanic with the action system where it has the 4 actions that are listed one right after another, but once you take one, you can't go back. So, right? So they're listed in a specific order, and so if it's like I take the pray action, then there's 3 actions after that. I can take any of those 3 actions next, so you get to take 2 of them. But if you take the last action, that's the only action you're taking, and then all the other actions you won't be able to do them. So you have to make sure that you're being strategic and being able to take your 2 actions, because if you only take 1 action per turn, you're going to get slowed down a lot. It's such a cool, mechanically cool game. I loved what they did. Only thing that I didn't like with the system was the merge mechanic, but it's still a really, really good game, man. I really highly recommend Ankh, and honestly, they have some of the best minis I've ever seen in a game ever. Like, they're just amazing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I love about Ankh, and that's why Ankh is my number 9. My number 8 is a game called Mosaic. Man, talk about a table presence. This is a big game. If you get the Colossus edition, this is a big, big game, and it just takes up the entire table. But it is a civilization game. But I think one of the things that I liked about this was that it's civilization, but it doesn't take 50 hours to beat. And one constant complaint I hear about a lot of the Civ games is that they take 6, 7, 8 hours. So some of them, it's the only game you're going to play, and it's going to be like an all-day thing. And so with these civilization games, it can be very tough. But one of the things that Mosaic kind of touted as its like mainstay or its like idea of what it was about was like, it's a fast Civ game, and it's a simple Civ game. So it's like every turn you can only take, there's like 8 actions to choose from, and you take one of them, and it's super easy. The way you generate population and food and things like that, and the different resources that you need to build and do certain things. It's really, really cool. And there's like this area majority mechanic where it's like, if I'm controlling a certain area, you can gain more points that way, but then you can kind of move your troops over to other people's areas and take over those areas and gain more victory points there as well. It's a really, really cool, solid game. Very simple and easy to pick up once you kind of get through how the game plays. And I think and I don't mean that it's an easy game or that it's not complicated or complex. It is, but the mechanic behind it, short snappy turns, right? It's just, you have 8 actions to choose from. Here are the 8 actions. It takes a little while to explain, but once you do, it's kind of like, okay, my turn, I'm gonna do this and produce that. Your turn. Like, it goes by relatively quick. So unless somebody gets analysis paralysis and not thinking ahead, that's up to you guys though. But that's on you. That's not on me. But anyways, Mosaic is a really, really good game. That's why it's my number 8. My number 7 is a game called Scythe, right? And I really want to try the Expeditions, but I haven't gotten a chance to. I could have tried it at Dice Tower, but I was just, I don't know why I didn't end up trying it. But it looks really cool. But anyways, I like regular Scythe. I just think it's such a really cool game. And in Scythe, you are going out and you're putting out workers, and these workers are taking over areas, and you've got these mechs, and these mechs are going to go in. And one of the things that I like is that in this game, you're not really encouraged to like fight each other a lot, but you totally can. And one of the great mechanics too is that and this is why I like playing Scythe with more people. When you play with 2 people, it's just kind of a big board, and you can kind of just branch off and do your own thing. But when you start to play 4 to 5 players, that's where things are really tight, and it's kind of like, this is my little corner, but you know what? You got a lot of hay there, and I'm just going to take over this land and force your people out, and I'm just going to take your resources and spend them. It's really, really cool, man. I love Scythe. If you've never played Scythe, Scythe is just one of those games you have to try. And if you have not, try it and see if it's a game that you like. But I really enjoy it. I love the simple gameplay, because you have this little board in front of you, and it has like 4 spots on it, and you take your little pawn and you move it to a new spot each turn, and it's like, okay, I'm moving here, I'm gonna do this action, and then if I can, I'll do the second action, right? And so it has like 2 actions on each little action that you could take. There's 4 of them, but each one has 2, so there's really like 8 actions. So it's a lot like Mosaic in that sense, but that's literally, they're nothing alike. But yeah, once you place there, you can take the 2 actions, and it's really, really solid game. You're increasing reputation and money. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. But you got to pay attention to your reputation, because if you don't have a ton of reputation, that's kind of like almost like a multiplier for your points from what I remembered. And it was kind of like, oh, sure, you had a lot of this, but because because your popularity was like really low, you're not going to gain a ton of points off of that. So it's a really cool game, very crunchy, very, very fun, man. I love Scythe, and that's why it's my number 7. My number 6 is an area control game that is very different than most, and that's because this one is cooperative, and that's Spirit Island. Spirit Island's a cooperative game, but it does area control very interestingly, right? Because the idea is there's like all these troops out on the map, and so you're trying to take over certain areas and lock them down with your spirit presence and making your presence taking over, like spreading your presence around the island to try to stop more settlers from coming in, destroying cities and things like that. And so it's like it's such an interesting version of area control that I really enjoy it, man. And Spirit Island is a very complex game. It's a very weighty, heavy game. This is not an easy game. This is not the type of game that you can just play with anybody. So you definitely want to play with the right people. But it's a card-based system where you get to play cards. And I've talked about it a billion times on the channel. And Spirit Island, by now, if you haven't heard of it, it's a great game. There's a lot of people who don't enjoy it as much just because I think it could be a bit too complex and a bit too brain-burny for a lot of people. And I completely understand that. Because at the end of the day, some people just have jobs where you just all day long you're just using your brain, and when you get home you just want to shut your brain down. And sometimes that's the reason I don't even play it as much, is because sometimes I've used my brain so much throughout the day. By the time I get home, my brain is exhausted and I just don't want to think. But it's a very, very fun game. This is the type of game that I would pull out on like a day off, where it's like, yo, I got the whole day off and so do my friends. Everybody come over to my house, let's play some Spirit Island. It's the perfect game for that. My number 5, shockingly, it rose up pretty high because this is a very good game. Wonderlands War, man. I really like this game. It is a game that I'm like, man, if I could find a cheap copy of this, I would definitely pick up a copy of this. But it's so cool the way that it handles like the area control, where there's like these different areas in Alice in Wonderland. You got like that Alice in Wonderland theme, and you got all these different areas, and you're trying to put troops into these areas, because if you control these different areas, you're uncontested and you win points based off of that. But then if somebody decides they want to challenge you and contest you, then you guys have to do combat, which is a very, very interesting mechanic where you're pulling chips out of a bag to do combat. But the way that you build up your bag with chips, because it's the bag building game, the way you build up your bag with chips is in the little tea party section that happens at the beginning of the round, where you kind of were walking your figure around this tea party table and picking up chips as you go and putting them into your bag, and then when you go into combat, you're pulling those chips out and building up your little tableau. So it's such a cool game, man. I love Wonderlands War, and I really enjoyed my gameplay experience of it. I can't wait to try all of the different characters. I just need to find somebody who has the game, because I only got a chance to play it when I was at Dice Tower, and man, I loved it when I played it there. So I just need to find somebody who has a copy, or find a copy for myself, and then I will definitely love to play this game some more. But that is Wonderlands War, my number 5. My number 4, this is an even more interesting area control kind of game. And you know, this, I think that in each of my gameplay videos, there's always going to be somebody that's going to like go, oh, that's a good pick. Oh, that's a great pick. Okay, that's not area control, Jeremy. And you know what? That's cool. Fair is fair. But it definitely does feel like area majority, and that is Milfiori. Milfiori is such a cool game, man. I loved it so much, I bought it, and I have been able to play it a couple of times since, and I have just had a blast. Everybody I've introduced it to has absolutely loved it. And the way that it works is that you draft cards, and when you play a card, it lets you place one of your little tiles on the board in a specific spot. And if you continue to build around the same spots, if you can gain all the symbols, you'll gain bonus points for doing so. And the first person who's able to do that and control that area and get a bunch of the points will get 20 points. And then the next player gets 15, and the next player gets 10, and then the last player gets 5. So you want to be first to gain all the symbols in a specific area, but it depends on the cards that you draft, and sometimes you're not able to do that. And then there's like this one area where there's like these little key symbols, and you're placing tiles, and you gain whatever points are printed on each space. But if you happen to do them in a row, like just your colors and not broken up by anybody else's tiles, you gain not only the points of the tile you just placed, but every tile in your sequence of tiles that you've placed. So it's like, wow, you can gain a lot of points just by going down that route. So then it's like, I feel obligated to just put an end to your little shenanigans where you're over here. And there's combos in this game where if I place a tile here, it lets me place another play another card from the market. Then I can place another tile, which lets me combo. And man, those combos are insane. I love Milfiori, man. This game, phenomenal, man. I love this. Another great Reiner Knizia game, and it's fantastic. So super excited. Milfiori, you guys got to check this game out. It's super good. I know people check out these games based on my recommendations. I hope you enjoy these games as much as I do. And if you don't, man, there's just something wrong with you. I'm just joking. No, but yeah, Milfiori is super, super good. You really got to get a chance to try this one. Now, my number 3, and this one was a tough one because between the top 3, it was so difficult to figure out which one went where. But it is what it is. This is my list, and it's not yours, so debate me, fight me in the comment section. I'm totally cool with that. But as far as it goes for me, my number 3 is Kemet Blood and Sand. Kemet Blood and Sand is insanely good. Insanely good. And it's got a lot to it. It's not the most complicated game I've ever played. But man, it has a crazy table presence. They've got all these little minifigures, the scorpions and the elephants and the different things. It's so cool. There's this tile system where you can buy tiles from a board, but the tiles that you can buy relate and correlate to the pyramids that you've built. So if you build only the first layer of your pyramid, you can only buy from level 1. But if you could build a level 4 pyramid, you could buy anything up to level 4. And the higher you go up on these tiles, the better they are. And they give you combat power, they give you movement power. So when they modify your move, so it's like you can only move 1 space. But because I have this scorpion, it lets me move 3 spaces with the scorpion. And you just put all your troops out on the map, and you're fighting each other and taking over an area. And then after the combat is over, you two are fighting and fighting and fighting and just knocking out each other's warriors until there's like one person who wins. And then you're like, yes, I gain the pyramid what is it, like faith point or whatever it's called. I get the FP for this one, so I get to take that FP because I won the combat or whatever. And then somebody comes in after you win the battle and you're weak, and somebody just comes in, swoops in, and takes it from you like it's nothing. And then those FP are temporary, like they switch from player to player. So it's like, even though I have like the amount of points I need to win, if somebody beats me in combat, they can take that FP from me for that specific area, the temple FPs. And then there's FP, divine FP, which are victory points that you can like win and they don't go anywhere. They stay on your map and nobody can take them from you. But to get those, it's very difficult, and then you can't just, they're not easy to get, so it's not like you could just get 9 of those and win the game. This game is really good, man, and there's teleportation from different obelisks, and it's so good, man. Like, Kemet Blood and Sand is well known for a reason. You need to play this game. It's phenomenal. I won't talk too much about that one. My number 2 is Blood Rage, and again, these two were neck and neck with which one I liked better. I really love Kemet, but man, there's just something about Blood Rage that I really like. I don't know if it's the Norse theme or what, but I love drafting, like the drafting mechanic in this. So like everybody has like a hand, and then you draft a card, pass it. Next hand, draft a card, pass it. And in those hands of cards, there are monsters that you can add to your army to go into the area and invade different areas. There's you can upgrade your boats and get sea monsters. That there's like these fjords between lands, and you're trying to control different areas of the map. And if you control the area, you can get victory points that way. Another cool part is that like Ragnarok is happening, and so Ragnarok is destroying parts of the land each round. And so if you have a bunch of characters there that get destroyed by Ragnarok, you just get a whole bunch of glory points for letting your people die. It's pretty interesting. And then there's like this whole Valhalla mechanic where your people go to Valhalla and then you can take them out. and gain them back into your army, and then you can just deploy them again. It's so good, man. I love this game, and I love the monsters and how they all have different abilities, and you know, with the boats and the fjords, it's like in between every two lands there's like a border, but then there's like a little fjord, like a little river, and that little river you could put your boat into there, and it gives combat power to both spaces, so it could be exactly what you need to win combats in both of the areas over there to the sides. You can upgrade your warriors, you can upgrade your chief, you can upgrade your monsters, you can upgrade your boat. It's so cool. You don't really upgrade your monsters. I guess the upgrade is that you get new ones that are better. There's Yggdrasil in the middle, which has a whole bunch of stuff that you can win, and you can win points to get to upgrade how many warriors you can have out at a time, and also how many different, I forgot, like your strength and combat. It's so good, man. I love Blood Rage, man. Again, another great game, well known for a reason. Don't need to say any more. And last but not least, man, my number one is Root, man. Dang, Root, it's so good. Like, it's so good. It's area control, but the area control is so different, man. Like, it's because of the asymmetric nature of the game, it makes that game just feel so interesting, man. And I love all of the different factions, even though some of them may feel underwhelming. They kind of fixed that, and they rebalanced it with new cards and new things, it's just such a good game. And so, like, for example, in the base set, if you get the base game, you have the cats. And so the cat, Marquis de Cat, the way they play the game is that they actually have warriors in every single area of the map. And in area control, you want to control most of the areas, but with their area control, they literally control the whole entire map when they start. However, the Erie Dynasty, they will start off with a small little corner of the map, and they spread out and multiply, and they really can take over the map, man, away from the cats and destroy all of their shops. And that's the way that the Marquis de Cat wins, is by setting up shop, by putting out a whole bunch of workshops and recruiting more workers and putting more warriors out. And there's a Woodland Alliance that they're trying to gather sympathy for their cause, and they, you know, will go around and drop these sympathy bombs that'll just obliterate people off the map, and it's so cool, man. And then the Vagabond, who walks around and just steals items, and he can slip into the woods, and just, you can't do anything when he's in the woods, and you gotta try to fight him when he's out on the path. And it's just really cool, man. Like, it's such an interesting, unique game. And that's just the base game. There's a ton of other Corvid Conspiracy, the Duchy, there's the Lords in Iron, and all these other factions, the little otters, man. Like, there's so many ways to play this game. It's so incredible. You definitely got to try Root. I love Root. It's very complicated, very complex. It's not an easy game, but it's very fun. That's another one of those games like Spirit Island that it's like, I could probably get this to the table like once every 2 months, maybe, and maybe not. I think it's like a quarterly game. I could play this like 3 or 4 times a year, and I'm usually pretty happy with that. But it's hard to get to the table. You got to really have the right friend group who loves playing Root and will always play Root with you. But that's why it's my number one. But that's boring. Everybody knew Root was going to be my number one. That's why I said those honorable mentions. And anyways, thank you guys for tuning into this video, man. Hope this inspired you to check out some of these area control, area majority games. These are just some of my favorites. And if you disagree with any of my choices, feel free to do so in the comment section. If you agree with my choices, let me know in the comment section, all right? Or tell me your recommendations for area control. Seeing what I like, talk to me, man. Like I said, I am trying to, there's no reason I should be, but I'm trying to increase my collection and continue to get new games and try new games and figure out, I want to build like the perfect collection of games. So that way I have all of the greatest games and all of them are sitting there on my shelf ready to be played. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, check out memberships, and we will see you guys on the flippity flip. Peace out, y'all.